sort of sum up the travel industry, there are new policies that are emerging. So the state of Florida, as well as I believe the state of California, when you have state business, they are requiring that the places where you hold the meetings have green practices, policies, and results. So state procurement. In the EU, there's a big, the Open Skies Agreement just enabled an increase in the number of flights between US and Europe, including the number of landing slots at Heathrow. And the EU wants to impose landing fees by the type of greenhouse gas emissions that you have. So not only in addition to passing on fuel costs, but passing on related to the age of the fleet, which we'll show you in just a second. And then the Kyoto Protocol, which is going to be renegotiated in a few years, and hopefully President-elect Obama, should he win, will sign the Kyoto Protocol, just as Australia did in December. But currently they don't include emissions from international travel. Okay, so corporate travel as a segment. So this is an estimate of about $300 billion a year. There are fewer trips, but higher dollars per person. So not only first class and business class, but also unrestricted tickets, maybe some last minute, versus leisure travelers who plan ahead. And more than $250 billion miles are racked up. The second largest variable expense for most companies is this travel line item. And I just read that I forget which the name of the company was, but they had cut back on their travel so that they could do something green. So they had made that trade-off internally within their company. So there's greenhouse gases from air travel, from rental cars, energy and water use in the hotel, waste from conferences. If you ever go to a conference, there's a lot of paper usage. But focusing on this business traveler can help accelerate eco-travel because of the purchasing power of the corporate travel offices, the travel agents who serve companies that don't have their own corporate travel offices, the rental car firms and airlines that seek these corporate partnerships. So I've worked for companies that have partnerships with Avis or Hertz or with particular airlines. Hotels and conference centers are using leadership in energy efficient design as an attraction to attract meetings, and meeting planners who we'll hear from Miss Green Jeans tonight talking about green corporate planning. Okay, so when you get on your next airplane, pay attention to what type of aircraft it is, because depending on how new that aircraft is actually determines its efficiency. And you may see ads from companies like United Technologies that are talking about their new jet turbines. So this is a 3/4 of a page ad in the Wall Street Journal, a pull-out section on energy. And they're describing the different technologies. So they're lighter jet engines. There are fewer blades. They're more curved instead of flat. And you might have even read recently an article where there's a business now to wash the jet engines, to clean them for very small cost, couple $100 per engine. And by wiping that grime off, it not only increases the fuel efficiency, it decreases the maintenance cost. So when you do that across the number of airplanes in the world, it actually starts to save hundreds of millions and billions of fuel costs. Okay, so Northwest has the oldest fleet. They also are sort of the rockiest airline right now. When you fly to Hawaii next, you might not want to choose Aloha if you care about this, but Hawaiian Airlines. And American and ATA have old aircrafts. Virgin America, who's just recently launched an airline, is the most efficient because they have the newest planes, but also JetBlue and Frontier. And if you've had the privilege of flying Virgin America, it looks like a neon nightclub. And what you can also see are these little screens here, which all eat up energy through the whole flight because they don't turn off automatically. So I did test the flight attendant and got them to turn off the ones that weren't being used, because you have to live hip. You have to live the hip way. Okay, so when you're choosing a hotel, Orbitz.com has these eco-hotel criteria. These aren't necessarily the best criteria, but these are the ones that Orbitz is using, so that when you're making an online hotel booking, each of these 5, and each hotel by state has a number of dots after it, 2 dots or 3 dots or the like. So if you go to Orbitz.com, it's right there on the home page. It'll say how to travel green. And this is great because the EPA's Energy Star is being used for hotels on their energy usage and their implied CO2. Rental cars, so Enterprise, which is very customer focused and now owns Alamo and National, they are private, whereas Hertz and Avis are public companies. They have about 4,000 hybrids, which I think are mainly Priuses, and flex fuel vehicles that run on ethanol. It will depend on where you are in the country as to whether you can fill up with E85. On the Hertz side, they negotiated a deal to buy Priuses for $20K each, so they're going to add those. And they have the green collection of high miles per gallon cars, and then Avis is into the game as well. If you travel, you might want to consider car sharing, where you don't actually pick up a car, pay a hotel fee, pay the little fee for the bus to take you there. There's now 180,000 members of ZipCar, which merged with FlexCar last year. The investors in ZipCar include Benchmark Capital, a big venture capitalist down on Sand Hill Road. And the investor in FlexCar was Steve Case of AOL. I actually have, I didn't get out my ZipCar. Oh, here it is. But for $9 an hour, you can go online and swipe this on the windshield of a car share, pick it up, and then a couple hours later drop it off. This is good if you're running short trips. It's not good if you're running long trips. It's still more economically beneficial to rent a car by the day, but the rental cars companies see this and they're starting to dabble in car sharing. So competitive lines are blurring, and now even the rental car taxes, which everybody pays, state governments are seeing that maybe they actually do want to charge car sharing, which actually at $9 an hour is pretty significant when it's $2 or $3 a rental. If you decide not to travel, but travel virtually, this is the closest to the sort of Star Trek video screen that you can get. Has anybody use Cisco's TelePresence system, Kirsten? So what's it like? Is it real?
Like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm with Deloitte, and we have this in several of our offices. And of course, you need to have another suite that you're speaking with. But gone is the TV screen where maybe only one side of the house sees the other side, or you don't get audio. It's very slick, and the rooms all look the same, so it's seamless.
And there's speakers behind each of these seats, too. So when somebody speaks from this side, you're not hearing it out of that side, you hear it from this side. It's actually pretty compelling. Okay, and then just a quick overview of what some corporations are doing, and Kirsten will tell us more deeply about Deloitte. So AT&T is applying most likely its own video conferencing system and web meetings to drop travel. Nike has partnered with Delta to do emissions offsets and invest some of that money in environmental projects. And KPMG is rewarding its Amex users with extra points when they choose trains over planes because it's lower emission. So this is providing an incentive at the individual level.